helps millions of investors make profitable trades in the market. Their daily advice will help you make the right trading calls. India's top technical analysts appear only on ET Now. Always thinking markets.
Hi there and welcome to Earnings Call Preview, a show that we do at the start of every quarter to peek into what is the likely earnings scenario going to be. This quarter around, we speak with Ambit Capital and get their view of what they believe are going to be the winners, potential losers, and some key stocks to watch out for. A man who needs no introduction, Saurabh Mukherjee, is here with me in our studios to talk about Ambit's view on earnings. Saurabh, good having you. Thanks much for taking the time out. Okay, largely, firstly, about the earnings season per se. Do you think it would be a washout scenario, or do you think that the green shoots that we're seeing on the economic front might actually even translate into earnings for some of the key sectors?
We expect the green shoots of recovery to come through from Q3 onwards. So I'm afraid the Q2 earnings, I don't think will point towards any recovery as such. I think the Q2 earnings will probably be the worst of the cycle. This is right at the bottom of the economic cycle. Q3 onwards is when you expect the economy to pick up and earnings to pick up. I don't think we should look to Q2 for cues vis-a-vis the future. Q2 will simply tell us the extent of the downturn, and our sense is Q2 will be the worst of this result cycle.
No, I mean, I was probably even maybe preempting what the management commentary could likely to be. You think that could come about because there'll be key sectors who would probably look into Q3 with a little bit of an optimism?
Absolutely. I think guidance will be critical. More than the numbers in this earnings season, management guidance as to what they see going forward will be absolutely critical, and particularly the results which come towards the second half of the earnings season. By then we'll be a good month into the reform festival, let's call it. And the further we move into the reform season, the investors, the market will be looking to promoters and asking them, hey, does this mean good news for you? Can you guide us upwards on either order book or business activity or margins going forward? So more than the earnings per se in this result season, what the market will look for is the commentary, the guidance vis-a-vis FY13 and in particular FY14.
Okay. So let's start off with some sectors, and let's start off with the positive note. The sectors which are likely to do well. And okay, let me take auto, although a mixed bag, because people believe that four-wheelers selectively could do well and two-wheelers would largely not do well. Let's speak about the four-wheelers first. What's your broad sense of what could happen to companies like, say, an M&M or a Tata Motors or a Maruti for that matter?
I think that the best of the results is likely to be M&M because their SUV has done very well. The tractor business is okay, and I think that they will be affected. They'll be unaffected from the worst of the cyclical downturn in auto. So healthy growth in top line, decent margins. I think M&M will be probably the best of the results, followed by Tata Motors. Tata Motors, because of the JLR story, which seems to be relatively unaffected by the downturn in our country. Because of the JLR story, I think Tata will be a decent set of results. Even in Europe, I don't think, even in JLR's case, the guidance hasn't been too shabby. So M&M and Tata, I think, will be the best of the results. The rest of the auto results, I do worry about them. Difficult to see, volume growth surprises, and I think margins will remain under the hammer. So whilst having said that, I think something like an Ashok Leyland, Q3 onwards, I expect CV sales to pick up. So whilst Ashok's Q2 numbers will not be anything to write home about, I think Q3 onwards Ashok could well pick up. I wouldn't sell Ashok on these results. I would wait and watch management guidance vis-a-vis Q3 sales. But M&M and Tamo likely to be the stars of the result season.
Yeah, the LCVs have probably done well for Ashok Leyland this time around. But the other half of autos, and I'm also including Maruti out there because it's probably a given that the Manesar unrest would not augur too well for Maruti. One, a word on that. And two, the two-wheelers, because last quarter when Hero came out with numbers, they gave a profit warning of sorts when the management said that they don't see the economic conditions to be favorable. Do you think it will show in the results this time around?
I think Hero is probably the worst of the auto results this season, because in terms of volume growth, the two-wheeler space we don't think is growing anymore. The entirety of the two-wheeler space in India is not growing anymore. Honda is pulling market share away. Honda is squeezing profit margins for everybody. And since unlike Bajaj, which has an export franchise, Hero doesn't have an export franchise. Hero is under pressure from every which direction you can think of. Maruti actually, I think they might actually surprise on the upside in a mild manner, because whilst Manesar is resulting in higher salary costs and something like 40-50 basis points margin compression there, In terms of market share losses, I don't think Manesar actually resulted in a big market share loss for Maruti. So overall volumes, yes, they won't surprise on the upside, but I don't think there's a major volume disappointment. There'll be a minor margin disappointment in Maruti, but I think the big negative in this result season could well be Hero rather than Maruti. The other one I think to watch out for Eicher. It's a pure CV play. The stock has done very well over the last couple of years. CVs have slowed down dramatically in Q2, and hence I think Eicher could be one where investors might want to take some money off the table.
Oh yeah, mixed set of dispatches as well. Rather, the sales numbers for Eicher this month was very bad. Last month was okay. So that's autos discussed in detail. Sort of the other one, and IT. Do you think it could pretty much be an encore of what happened last quarter? TCS doing okay, HCL Tech being the shining star, and Infosys being the big drag amongst the large caps?
I think there'll be two key differences in IT results in Q2 vis-a-vis Q1. The FX effect has gone backwards, so the rupee actually appreciated. That will hit the IT firms. Now, Infosys doesn't hedge FX from what we know, so Infosys I think stands to be the worst affected because of not hedging FX. So the worst of the rupee appreciation I think will be on Infosys. HCL Tech, on the other hand, my sense is hedges the dollar fully. HCL Tech will be all right. I think Wipro will also be all right from an FX perspective. But the FX tailwinds which were there in Q1 will no longer be there, and I think that will also have a bearing on guidance. I suspect guidance for the Indian IT firms will be pulled backwards almost uniformly. The other area where Q2 will be different from Q1 is Q2 I think has been better from a business perspective, from a new wins perspective. It's been better, and particularly I think for HCL Tech and TCS, I think the new wins, the new business wins momentum will be better in Q2 than in Q1. So going into the results, I would say HCL Tech would be our top IT pick going into the results, and I would say Infosys is the one which looks exposed on both the FX front and on the business wins front. There
are murmurings about how pricing may be seeing a bit of a downtick. You think the commentary could probably speak something that could concern investors?
I think the big crunch on margins, a fear on margins is not so much coming from pricing. There is some pressure there, but the big fear on margins is wage escalation. Of the frontline IT players, we reckon Infosys has postponed its wage hikes, and they'll probably come in the second half of the year. So in a way, Infosys's current margins Q1 and Q2 are somewhat flattered by the fact that they haven't taken the wage hikes. So if they give guidance on that, that'll obviously be a negative. But more importantly, I think the market is gradually factoring in the fact that Infosys hasn't taken the wage hikes as yet, whereas the others have. So that's the big margin driver going forward. Have you taken your payroll cost inflation into account? Have you not?
The new Bolero.
I'm hungry. इसमें भी कुछ मिल नहीं रहा है. किसी से पूछ ले.
भाई साहब. ओए शाहरुख खान.
पूछो ना.
नहीं. My Nokia Lumia has an app for this. Nokia City Lens. ये हमको दिखाएगा रेस्टोरेंट, शॉप्स, थिएटर्स, सब कुछ.
क्या जाके?
Oi, Shahrukh Khan! Experience Nokia City Lens and over 100,000 apps on Nokia Lumia.
Every morning, investors are looking out for opportunities. Make the most of the market day with ET Now. At 7 a.m., wake up to fresh brokerage and nifty calls on Morning Mantra. At 8 a.m., get buy, sell, hold tips for a profitable start to your day on Trading Calls. At 10:30 a.m., pick the hottest stock from a technical perspective on Hot Stocks. At 11 a.m., get 20 stock recommendations of the day from top 6 analysts on Traders 20. And at 11:30 a.m., watch market experts play the game of portfolio building on the stock game. Stay ahead of the market, only with ET Now.
More things that can be done which are not politically contentious, which do not require parliamentary approval. I think corporate India and the government should work together. I think the political parties should work together. I think we need a greater sense of urgency than we seem to exhibit. and we have the opportunity.
The other possible winner is FMCG, and from what I hear, sort of the quarter volume growth, Q1 volume growth was exceptional, and on a quarter-on-quarter basis, people believe that volume growth as well as margin expansion would be, as in margins would probably contract on a quarter-on-quarter basis. However, just wondering, ad spends have been relatively flat. How do you expect FMCG majors, HUL, ITC, possibly throw in some of these second-run names as well, to do this quarter?
So we've done a lot of work with distributors across the country, and our reading is that volume growth has continued to be fairly robust in FMCG, something around 14-15% for FMCG as a whole, foods and non-foods. So I think the volume story is all right there. At the EBITDA margin level, we would say margins will be flat. Q2 and Q1, I don't think there's a big margin crunch there. There could well be some in Q3 because input costs continue to rise and consumers are becoming wary of price rises. But Q2 and Q1s, we don't see a big margin surprise. I think the big story here is market share gains, and our sources suggest HUL is pulling away a lot of market share. HUL and GCPL are the two market share gainers, as we can see from our surveys of distributors. Nestle is the one which is the loser from a market share perspective, as per our sources. So margins robust, volume growth healthy for FMCG as a whole. HUL and GCPL, I think, could be the stars on the result front. Nestle is the one which looks a bit exposed at this juncture.
Would cigarettes be a bit of a dampener for ITC?
I think the concern on cigarettes going into a year where the fisc is under pressure, the concern is growing that the government will hike taxes. Also, investors are showing a great deal of willingness to switch away from defensives into more exciting, more cyclical sectors. And I think both in IT and in FMCG, wherever you have weak results, whether it's an ITC, whether it's a Nestle, whether it's an Infosys, I think investors will lighten their positions and swing towards the cyclical sectors. So ITC, I would worry about that going into results. So would I worry about Nestle and Infosys. Defensives in particular, which have done very well over the last couple of years, I think these results will now result in a sea change in attitudes towards defensives.
Okay, let's talk about the negatives. I mean, we have spoken about a couple in the auto space as well, which might not do well, but banking, and that's the big weightage on the index, Saurabh.
Absolutely.
And while the bank nifty is rallied a bit, there are hopes of things improving with rate cuts coming in maybe. What's the sense for the quarter, particularly for the PSUs, but also largely how the banking space would do?
I think it's worth breaking banking into two parts. One is the big banks, which are exposed to power, infrastructure, real estate, the really big ticket loans. The big banks have got the big ticket loans in power, infrastructure, real estate, aviation, and so on. And then the smaller banks, which are largely plays on the SMEs, the small and medium enterprises. And I think results will be very different across this lot. The bigger banks, we reckon NPAs, restructured assets, will go up quarter on quarter. NIMs will be broadly flat, but NPAs and restructured assets will be up, and hence I think the bigger banks' Q2 results will be weaker than their Q1, and I expect this pattern to continue for some time, that the bigger banks will continue suffering in results because of NPAs and restructured assets coming through from those broken balance sheet sectors. The smaller banks, the SME plays, names such as Kotak Mahindra, Federal Bank, CUB, they'll be all right. We don't see a great deal of NPA build up over there. The credit offtake is robust, something north of 15% comfortably for the smaller banks. So in these results, I think the smaller banks will come away smelling of roses. The bigger banks will guide up NPAs and restructured assets and take some of that hit in their Q2 numbers as well.
We hear that, I don't know how closely you track it, but Yes Bank, we hear that there could be NIMs improvement on a quarter-on-quarter basis, and the fee income growth isn't too unpleasant.
We don't cover Yes Bank, so no comment on that.
How about State Bank of India, though? Because that's expected.
I think in SBI's case, I suspect the NPA guidance, if there will be one, I think the NPA guidance will be up. SBI is symptomatic of the challenges facing the larger Indian banks, where NPAs plus restructured assets, even at Q1, was something like 10.2%. At the end of Q2, I think the number will be higher still. And even if you then factor in, only 40-50% of that actually results in economic losses, that's still a big chunk of their balance sheet under pressure. So this will be the big challenge for the bigger banks. The amount of stress building up on their balance sheets, and some of it will emerge in Q2, some of it they'll give guidance about going forward towards the end of the year. And I think the banks, if you have big holdings of large Indian banks, I would say lighten your positions, because at the results, I think these will correct.
Okay, so that's advice. The other one that I would want some advice on is how do you think metals would do? Because again, I mean, I'm sure their fortunes are linked to how commodity prices do, but in terms of reported numbers this time around, a lot of talk around how Tisco might actually do slightly better than what some of the other base metal companies would do.